Clubhouse. Good evening for those who are joining us live on YouTube, or if you're joining us live in the Facebook group. Welcome to All Things Financial. It's a Tuesday evening when we do QuickBooks Online live demonstration. This evening, we're going to go over how to set up a recurring transaction for invoices and a sales receipt. If you would like to see how to set up a transaction for bills and your receipts, please watch last week's video that has those that we went through that last week. But we're going to be doing this week, we're going to be doing your invoices and your receipts. For those who don't know me, if you just catch this video, who is this lady talking? I'm Elaine Forbes, Daisley, otherwise known as the Elaine Forbes. My famous line to say is it's social media and I like to be social. So when you come to my broadcast, whether you catch it on the replay or if you're live in the room, just say hi, Elaine, because it's social media and Elaine likes to be social. So why do I talk about QuickBooks? What gave me the authority to be able to speak on this topic? I've been an accountant for over 3.5 decades. And I've been using QuickBooks for about 2.5 decades. So that's a long time. I don't even like to say the actual number because it makes me feel like I'm way up there. I was reading 50 Cent's book, and he said age is just a number. So I'm going to say that age is just a number. He says it's how you feel. If you feel you're young, you're young. So I'm young. I'm young. I just have a lot of experience in accounting and bookkeeping. I also have about 10 years in the financial services industry. And I'm also a certified QuickBook Pro advisor. I do what I do because over the years have found that small business, well, the statistic says it, 82% of small business fail within the first 2 years of starting their business. And the number two reason for them failing is that their finance is not organized. And I've seen it where as small business struggle to keep their finances together. QuickBooks is one of the programs, one of the many accounting software. It's user friendly. It's not quick accounting, but it is user friendly in some areas. And you want to make sure that you're set up to track all your income and expenses because I've seen it every single tax season. Every single tax season. I have clients that people that come to me and says, can you help me to get my numbers together for taxes? And the worst time to want to get your number together for taxes is during tax season. You're high stress. You're trying to make sure everything is correct, and you're most likely to that time leave something out, get have inaccurate records, forget something, because most time you're lumping everything together. I want to help small business owner to the point where they don't have to wait until tax season. You don't need to wait until tax season to have numbers, to understand your finances, to kind of be looking at it. And QuickBooks has several stuff that you can use, several process that you can automate so that you can be ready for tax season. You can have a report at the end of each month. So one of those process is actually the receipts, automating your invoice and your sales receipt. A lot of online business tend to send out to get sales receipt, to do sales receipt, because they're collecting the money right away. Someone is giving you a credit card and stuff like that. Some people send out invoice, and I'm going to show you how to set it up that you're putting in their information and it is recurring each month. And I know, like, a lot of online business think about Stripe and PayPal and Square. When they set up a product online, it automatically goes every month, and automatically deducts the money, put it into their account. You can actually set this up in QuickBooks, right? Now, if you are using a third party like Square, Stripe, and PayPal, there are different ways to set those up in your QuickBooks so they automatically goes to your QuickBooks. So there's an integration for Square, Stripe, and PayPal. Their interface with QuickBooks is different. They are different. So you have to set them up in different ways when it goes to QuickBooks. So let's jump into QuickBooks. And if you're over in the Clubhouse room and you want to see the live demonstration, so I have QuickBooks open and I'm going to actually, while I'm talking on Clubhouse, you can actually see what I'm doing. If you jump over to YouTube, and in the YouTube link is above my head. It's above my head. Just click on that link on the first, I think it's the first link. It says YouTube. Click and go over to YouTube and you will see the live. As a matter of fact, I need to test it. I did not test it, but let me make sure that it is live over there because I remember when I was on there. And you'll see the live demonstration. Now, what I also want to make sure that people understand is that I'm inside of a demo. Okay, it is live over there. Okay. I am inside of a sample company. What the sample company does not have certain features that are live. So if you want to see a feature that you think you can use in your business and I talk about it and you really want to see it in your business, you don't know how to set it up or because we're only going to go so far and no more, feel free to go to talktoelainenow.com and I do have a 15 minutes where I can just go through it and show you on your company. I know sometimes you see it in the sample company as well, but actually seeing it in your company, sometimes it makes a difference. All right. Hey, Linda, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I am right inside. So now, once you go to your QuickBooks is open, and if you want to see navigation of QuickBooks, I've done videos with navigation, so you can look at the YouTube channel. I've done several navigation video. But over onto your left where the black bar is, if you click the new button, let's see if we can get it from over here. All right, it won't give us from here because I want to send you from. So you go to the right, the top right, where the gear icon is. Click on that gear icon. And where it says list, right down the middle, it says list, there's recurring transaction. Now, what the recurring transaction does, you can set up the invoice. So let's say that you have a client that you have to send an invoice to every month, right? You can set up this invoice and it automatically goes to the client every month and they will pay the invoice. So they'll either pay it by a check, ACH, or credit card, right? That's an invoice. So now, we're going to do new and we're going to change the transaction type to invoice. We're going to do OK. And we're going to call this John. I kind of name my invoices by the client's name. So when I look, I can know exactly whose client. And we're going to schedule it. So we can set reminders. We can also unschedule. If we schedule, we can unschedule. And you can, let's say that you want you're invoicing them for the 15th of the month, but you want it to create a day in advance. You can put it for a day in advance. And we're just going to say this customer and their email address is here. Now the options are right here. You can automatically send email. You can do print later. You this one, a contractor or people that does project would use this one. So we're not gonna, where it says include unbilled charge. That's if you're incurring an expense that you're going to bill the client for. You can include it, and it would automatically, whatever unbilled charge for that period, it's going to include it in that invoice. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that because I want to review my unbilled charge if I want to do that. So this is saying monthly. Let's say you can do weekly, you can do yearly, you can do daily. So it's going to be monthly, and we're going to do this for, we can do the first any day of the month. So let's say this is going to be the 5th of the month and every month, and it the latest it cannot start for May 5th, because May 5th, it cannot start in the past. It has to start in the future. So we're going to start it on June 5th. Let's say that you have a client that you want to set up a recurrent invoice for, but you want to invoice them this month. You know you're going to set it up for next month, to start next month, right? What you would do is that you would do an invoice for this month, create an invoice for this month, and then set the recurring invoice, because the recurring invoice cannot go backward, it just goes forward. All right, now let's say if this is an invoice that you know that you are going to, you want to, let's say it's 12 months, you want it for 12 months, you can go in here and say buy and put the end date, or after, and put after. You can put 12 occurrences, you can put 15 occurrences. If you're not, at this time you don't have an end date, you just put none, right? So we put it. Now then the billing address, make sure that is correct. The terms and agreement. Now you can set the terms. There are clients that I set for 10 days, 15 days. You can do net 30, which means that the date that you send the invoice. So if we set this to net 30, when the invoice goes out on the 5th of June, they have 30 days from that date to pay the invoice. They have 30 days from that day to pay the invoice. So you can say, okay, when it goes out on the 5th, you want them to pay by the 10th, about 10 days. So 10 days from that day that they get the invoice, they have to pay. So that's something you want to make sure that you set correctly, because you might send an invoice and say, why am I not getting paid, right? But it sets for net 30. So that person said, oh, I have 30 days to pay this invoice. All right, so we want to set this for net 15, and then we're going to look for whatever products. It's design, and it's 75. We're going to say 5 because we want. So if your sales tax is set up, it will calculate your sales tax. We're going to say none. We don't want any sales tax for this one. And if you want to put a discount on, you can also put the discount on right there. And then we're going to save this as a template. Now, there it is right here. Inside of here, we'll see that invoice. Now, once you set this invoice will go every month, right? Once the invoice go, and the client pays. Your job is not done. It's just going to make it easier. So you don't have to sit at the computer and send the invoice every month. Every month on the 5th, the invoice is going to go. Now, once the invoice go, it's going to show up right here inside of, let me see, they have an invoice in here. It's going to show up right in here, right? Now, for it's not gonna show up with this little thing here, right? If you want to send a reminder after the 15 days, it's going to have this little, I don't know what kind of signs they call it, but it's a sign to make you see that something needs to be. Now you can actually go here, click on this button, and send a reminder. You can send a reminder. You can also set it up. We can set up a template inside of the recurring where we say, after, if it's not paid after a certain time, then send a reminder. You can actually just go in here and do send a reminder, and it will send a reminder to say, hey, you haven't paid the bill. But for the invoice, once you send the invoice, it's going to show up here. The next thing that needs to happen once the invoice is paid, you now need to do receive payment. It will not automatically apply to the invoice. And you want to make sure that you're applying the payment to the invoice, because once the payment comes in, let's duplicate our tab. This feature I actually love because I can duplicate my tab and go to. So if the client make the payment, it's going to come and sit in your bank account, right? In your bank account. If you did not receive the payment, let's say you did not receive the payment. I don't know if these have any. Okay. So if you notice, these are showing as match, but if you did not receive the payment, it's going to come in and says receive. If you then receive this without matching it to the invoice, you would have duplicated your income. So you want to make sure. And the other thing is that when you look at your balance sheet, it will also, this is going to show up as accounts receivable. If you went to your bank feed and did not match it, your accounts receivable is going to have this money still sitting in there saying that somebody owes you. So the correct way to do is to go and do receive payment, and it would have already clicked the invoice. You can do it right from the invoice. Let me show you another way to do it because I want you to. So you can either do it right from the sales screen where you do receive payment, or you can go to new and do receive payment, and it brings this up. And now you're going to look for the customer. I hope it's okay. And it will bring up the invoices. If the client has more than one invoice, you can choose what invoice it is, and then you can choose your payment date. Now with online, what I do is I look to see when the payment came into my account. What date did I hit my account? And I would use that payment date. I use that payment date to receive the payment. The reason why I use that payment date to receive the payment is when I'm ready to do my reconciliation and go to my bank account, I can match it correctly. The date can match, especially if you have the same amount of invoice, the same amount on invoices. You want to make sure you're matching the correct one. So now I would put the date that I receive it. Don't give me a date. And then now this is another thing that you want to pay attention to. So when you receive the payment, it's going to sit in undeposited fund. If it goes and sit in undeposited fund, there is a third step. There is a third step to do. You don't have to do it to undeposited fund. So if you know which bank account and you know that it went to that bank account, then you can click right here and put it right in the bank account. So when it comes in the bank, you can match it. But if you did not match it to the bank account, then it's going to sit in undeposited fund. And you need to make sure when you are matching it, when you're doing your bank, it's matching the correct one. So we do receive payment, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to do undeposited funds, and I'm going to do save and close. The next step would be to go to new and go to over here, bank deposits. And here is the 239. And we're going to say the same date, and we're going to do save and close. Oh, what did it? Oh, I tried to save it a second time. I did that so fast. So now you have a deposit that will match to an income, a deposit that's in your bank feed, right? So if you don't want to do the third step, make sure you're paying attention and put it in the right bank account that is going to be deposited in. So that's it for the invoice. So you can have the invoice. It just goes. The only thing you got to do is make sure everything is matching and click it off. It's going to take you less time to do it. Now, if I've been doing accounting for over 3 decades, I used to have to write each of these steps. We had to record it. You got to record the receipt when it comes in. You got to write up the deposit ticket. You got to match everything to everything. QuickBooks just makes it easier and make your life easier. It helps you to save time and help you and save money. So what I would suggest, because I know small business says, hey, I want to do it myself. Yes, but make sure it's set up correctly. So that is for the invoice. Now, I'm going to go over how to set up a sales receipt, how to set up a recurring sales receipt. So let's say you're still invoicing a client every month, but they gave you their credit card. So they're not, they fill out the ACH form. They gave you all that information. Now, how we do that, we're going to go right back here. And now we're going to go back to recurring transaction. And we're going to do new. And now we're going to do a sales receipt. And we're going to say, okay. And we're going to call this sales, STOMER. And we just want to choose one of these, their email, and we want to send them an email. And that's the first, let's say we want this on the 4th of the month. And the start date is going to be June. And we don't have an end date. And this is where the difference is. Oh, let's put in a service. We giving them pump, and we give them 20. We're billing them for 25 pump. And the payment method, this is where it's different from the invoice. So the sales receipt is going to have the payment method. If you put in American Express, and it won't do it for me. Let's see. Okay. All right. This is why I don't like this one. This is, so technically, this is not a life company, so it will not do it for me. But what it will do in your life company, when you put the MasterCard in, it will pop up a screen that you can add the information in from the MasterCard. It will also give you an authorization that you must have your client to sign. So if you do anything that says Visa, Discover, any of these, it would automatically pop it out, pop out a pop-up screen that says enter their information. You can now enter the client information inside of that, and it will just walk you through, and then it tells you that you have to send this paper so that the client can sign and agree for you to take the money out of their account every week or every month. Now, also, the same applies here. It can go to undeposited funds, or you can send it straight to the bank, or if you have a merchant account, you can send it to that. But you must remember that once you put it to an undeposited fund, you got to go in and receive the fund, and then do the next step where you make the deposit. This is not going. I hope it saved the template with it. Okay, it does. So let's edit. I'm trying to see if it will. It's not going to pop it out. But this is the difference from the invoice. So once you put the payment method in, it will automatically take that payment. It will go to the credit card every month. Now, the thing about this one that you got to be careful about is that if the cards decline, even though it will show you. See, I can't show you a live one because I'd have to set up my screen so I don't be showing people stuff. But in a live one, once the save template, it shows up in the sales screen, and it will show up on this screen. It automatically goes as a paid. So once that transaction populates and send the invoice, it says paid. However, if the card declined, it will show you that the card declined. And you can reach out to your client and say, hey, the card's declined. And whenever you can go back and run the card again. The way to go back and run the card, you go back and save it again, and it will say, it gives you the opportunity. This won't show you, so there's no. I would love to show you what it looks like on the card, but this is not live, and I don't know that I can show you a live one. So once you go back to this, and the invoice would be in the sales screen, right here, it would say process, and you can click the process button and it will process it again. If it declines again, it will say it's declined. So that is how you set up your sales receipt and your invoice so that it can automatically recur every month. It will save you time and money. I know we say it and people say, oh my goodness, but yes, it will save you time and money. Making sure that you have it set up correctly, that each month this is going, so you know that you're getting paid. You're getting paid. So that is it. If there is any question as it relates to the recurring transaction, and we actually did how to set up a bill. We actually did how to set up a bill inside of the recurring transaction, like for your phone bill, like to pay for your Canva. You can set up all of those, and those automatically populates each month. So if you ever go to look at a report to see how much is my monthly expense, you can see that right away, because it's posted on the day that this would actually hit your bank account. And then you can match this, so then at the end of the month your reconciliation will be way easier. So guys, thank you so much for those who joined us today. As always, we are here for 30 minutes on a Tuesday evening when we do a live QuickBooks Online live demonstration, and we do this inside of the Clubhouse. So if you're in Clubhouse, you're catching this by replay, feel free to click the link above my head and go over to the YouTube channel where you see the live demonstration of QuickBooks Online. If you're on the sorry, if you're in the YouTube channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification, so when we go live on a Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight or Standard Time, you will get notification. If you have any question, feel free to put your comments below the video in on YouTube or inside of the Facebook group, and put your comment in the chat on Clubhouse. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Please remember that your accounting information is sensitive. So if you have a question that is sensitive, we value your privacy, and we will make sure that if that is a little bit too private, we will not answer it on a live, but we can schedule a 15 minutes so we can go over it for you. And you can schedule a 15-minute at any time at talktoelainenow.com. Talktoelainenow.com. You can schedule the time, and I'll be more than happy to look at it for you and to give you some tips and tricks on how to set up your QuickBooks Online. And always coming coming on the 15th. The 15th is my birthday. I am launching a membership. We're going to have a free webinar, and I'm launching a membership where you can have access to ask any question as it relates to bookkeeping, accounting, and QuickBooks Online. And that is going to be launched on the 15th of May, on my birthday. So guys, look out for it. It's like having an accountant in your pocket that you can always ask a question as it relates to QuickBooks or to bookkeeping. ACH, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us over here on Clubhouse. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those who are on YouTube or in the Facebook group, have a good evening, and I see you guys back here 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on next Tuesday. Bye, you all. And my mouse won't work.